Hello, my name is Daniela. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk about do angels really help humanity? Can they perform miracles? And the answer is yes. I've had personal experiences and I'll share them with you, but also I have stories that people have shared with me over the years, and it's all over the place. You can find videos, just many, many examples of that. Yes, they can. And please stay till the end and I'll give you some tips on how to connect with them. Just simple things because everyone I feel can do this. The first one that I want to talk to you about is a friend of mine in her teens, I think. She took a road trip to New Orleans, and her friends were having a really good time and everything. And they came back probably too late on the road. And she said that as they were driving, it was wee hours of the morning, and they were destined, like it was happening, a head-on collision. And there was no escape. There was like a truck coming. I think she said they veered into her lane, and it was happening. Everyone in the car, they were bracing for death. And the next thing you know, they woke up in front of their home. And none of them knew how they got there. They had no recollection of driving after that event. They felt like time had lapsed. There was missing time. And they really felt like maybe it did happen and some type of miracle. Like they just couldn't explain if time had lapsed because of necessary repair to make sure that they were in one piece or what. But the next thing they knew, they were all in front of her house, healthy, not a scratch, but no recollection of how they got there. And I think that's interesting. You might be able to write that off if it was one person, but a carload of young girls, that's quite interesting. And my sister was driving, I think it was upstate New York, late at night, and she had about an hour's drive, and the car kept veering, like pulling off. And she was really scared because the roads were bad and everything, because it was wintertime upstate New York. And she was praying and praying for help, for safety. And once she started really praying, the car steadied. And when she got home, when the trip was over, she looked at the tire and it was flat. So that happened like in the beginning of the trip, and yet she arrived home safely with a flat tire. For me, I remember when my son was in a hospital, it was a really severe situation where someone hit him in the eye with a PVC pipe, and it broke. It damaged every level and layer of the eye. And it was an emergency situation. They didn't expect any recovery. And we had to go from one hospital to the next. Like things just kept getting, the more information the doctors shared, the worse the scenario got. So I was up for a couple of days and I was dealing with all this on my own, and really I thought in my head, I'm going to lose it. It was just horrific, and it just kept happening. And the next thing you know, as I had that thought, I feel like I'm going to have a breakdown here. And I was trying to remain strong and positive for my son. And all of a sudden, when I had that thought, I heard, did you really think that we're going to leave you in your time of need? And on either side of my son's bed were huge angels. And I just felt so relieved to not be alone any longer. And then the room, like halfway from the floor to ceiling, was covered. And it was really interesting, like equal distance, each color of light. And it was filled with light, different colors of light. And it spread out through the whole room. Like I said, halfway from ceiling to floor. And I just felt surrounded by love, reassurance. And it really was, I was so grateful to not be alone anymore. And they said, after all the work that you've been doing, did you really think we were going to leave you alone in your time of need? We're here and we're going to help. The thing is, the doctor told me the next morning my son's face would be all discolored black and blue from the injury. And I prayed, and the next morning there was just a little mark. They were shocked. They couldn't explain why what they said was going to happen didn't happen. On top of that, when, like I said, we had to go to more than one eye doctor because every level of his eye was damaged. And when we first started going, because we had to go every few days, and then it was like once a week, once a month, the vision was like this, double vision. And they never expected him to get any of it back. And each week that we went, there was improvement, even though they said no. And I was told that there would be improvement from above. The other thing is that he had a hole in his macula, and they didn't expect that to heal as well. And every time we went to a doctor, it shrunk more and more and more. And they used to be able to stand on his left side and you'd have no idea that you were there. And what happened was, he's still legally blind, but I would say within the last year, he knows when you're there. He can tell. And he told me one day it was really sunny, so he closed his good eye while I was at school. And he realized that he could see the path. He had vision in his left eye somewhat, and he did get his driver's license. Miracles do happen. I've had other instances where I didn't feel safe and I felt threatened I remember one time being on campus in between sessions and I was alone, but there were two young men behind me and I could feel their breath on my neck, and it really was terrifying. And I don't know how I got distance between us, but I jumped into the student union, which was not a good idea because it was completely closed, like there was nobody there. And I hid in a phone booth. And I didn't shut the door all the way so the light wouldn't go on. And I hid there, and they did come into that building looking for me. I hid there long enough for them where I felt like they were gone. Things like that have happened throughout my whole life where I was guided to take action for protection. This happens to many people. They can help you in your life when you're going through very challenging times. And there was a time in 2016 I needed help. And I was my own worst enemy because it was a heart connection, even though it was toxic and terrible for me. And I surrendered and said, listen, you guys know better than I do. And I surrender, do what needs to be done. And they actually intercepted emails for like 12 hours sometimes and phone calls. Had I received them in a timely fashion, I would not be on the path that I am on now. So they saved me from myself, because I wasn't strong enough at that time to do what I needed to do. And it actually changed the course of events. So people will tell you that can't happen, but I gave them a green light to do what needed to be done for me to be where I needed to be and to protect me from myself. It's just amazing because I know people have argued, but I'm telling you, I've had these experiences. And there are stories about Dr. Wayne Dyer's wife, I think her name is Marcelle or something like that. When she was having their first child, she was in a great deal of pain. She was trying to do it naturally. And this beautiful redheaded nurse came in with a calming voice and said, go deep within yourself. She helped her to go to a space where she did not feel the pain. She taught her with the breath work and to calm herself down. And she showed her how to do this. And Marcel was able to do it very successfully. And when the birth finally happened, she thanked everyone, but she said that that beautiful redheaded nurse really helped me so much. And I said, we don't have a redheaded nurse. And nobody had any idea who she was talking to. And when she was in a hospital, she was trying to find her. And you hear stories about that, like people come in and they are there at the perfect time. There are many more stories that I have. A friend of mine, when this lady would call her for a reading, and for about a year during the worst time of her life, she said the woman helped her more than she helped the woman. And she would feed her and give her money, like more than what was required. She took care of my friend. And once my friend's life turned around, she tried to go back to that house. She knew exactly where it was. And a gentleman walking a dog said, nobody lives there. And she's like, no, there's this lady. And they were like, no, nobody lives there. Nobody's lived there for more than 10 years. And my friend was like, but no, there's this lady. And he goes, there are stories about that house, people with similar experiences. So it's almost like the angels lived there. And the house did not look like an abandoned house. And yet nobody had lived there for over 10 years. And she can't find this woman. It's just, to me, that's quite magical and powerful. So, yes, they can help us through our toughest times, but the key is asking them for help, calling them in to assist you. Whether you want to say God, creator, source, gave us the angels to help us on his earthly plane because it's so incredibly powerful. So, you want to start a dialogue with the angels and do some research, find out like which ones are for your particular need. Like Archangel Raphael is for healing, Archangel Uriel is for knowledge, Archangel Michael is for protection. So they have their different duties. Archangel Shamuel is for love. And you want to find out and then call them in and ask them for assistance in your life. But it does start with you. You know, you need to be proactive. At least that's my belief. You know, if you feel like they can just come in without even asking, that's fine. But I challenge you. If you're struggling and you're not happy with the way things are going, what do you have to lose? Nothing. So I highly recommend this. Thank you for watching. Please share my video and subscribe, hitting the bell icon so you get notifications when I have a new video. And this is to help you on your spiritual journey. In 2020, like the world has been a little bit kooky, but more and more things are happening. And it's time for you really to do your own homework in. As each of us find more peace and empowerment within ourselves, remembering who we are, we change consciousness and make the world a better place. So do your homework. Many blessings to you, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.